Hey everyone, it's Elfin here and welcome to my building tips videos. Now, I am by far not a professional builder. I barely know what I'm doing, but over the last couple months, I've really been trying to get better because this is what my house looks like in all of my survival series worlds. And I need to improve a little bit. You guys can also download this map for yourself with the link in the description below in case you want to use my builds in any of your worlds or servers or anything. For those of you who are already subscribed, you know that I stumble and fumble with my words a whole bunch and I'm not very good at explaining things, but I'm going to try my best. Closed captioning will be on and I'll probably, if I stutter, I will correct it in there. So if you want very clear examples, turn on closed captioning. So here I have made two paths. One is filled with lush vegetation, as well as has a bunch of different variations of blocks. Like we have some stripped logs, we have some normal logs, stone slabs, mossy cobblestone slabs, and then on the other hand we have a pretty stiff, doesn't really look as appealing. It's like, oh, you're forced into this little area. It doesn't have nearly as much detail as this one. I don't know about you guys, but if I saw these two paths in the woods, I would definitely be going down this one to my death probably, but it looks a lot nicer than that one. Having more open spaces that allow for more movement work a lot better than just simply a very stiff one-directional, I can't really go anywhere other than right here. Let the character of your build really speak here, because this looks more like something that I would make, and this looks like something that someone who knows what they're doing would make. Don't mind those, I'll get to those later. Over here, I want to talk about lighting and understanding your build, as the sign says. So I have three different obvious lights here. I used to make these all the time and was super proud of them, but looking back at it now, it's just really clunky. So I would recommend going for a better approach such as this. It's more modern, more street lampish like, and it just takes a lot less, oops. And it just takes a lot less items to make. Although this is awesome, you gotta get the glowstone, all the logs, and fences, fence gates. It's just too consuming with your time. You gotta get the leaves. It's too much. But this looks very nice and simple. And then on the other hand, we have this. What I was going for when I was making this is kind of like a fallen kingdom. Not that one. A fallen type castle, basically. So we have like moss growing out of it. There's broken down elements to it. There's like, where did this light even go? Like some wood on the very top of the build has fallen down into a lower area. Just, you know, adding some character. Maybe give the build a little bit of story, because that will, it doesn't sound like it would make much of a difference. But the last type of lighting I would like to talk about is this type, where it's like, where's the glowstone? Where are the lamps? Nobody knows until they look at this very obvious carpet. And right under it, I just place glowstone, cover it up. Blends in really well. Like, if I just walk by, you won't even really see it amongst everything. This is more for, like, big areas. That way, like, creepers don't spawn. If you have, like, a PvP arena you're making, I would really recommend this. But as always, remember, it's all about what your build is. This would not really work if you're making a modern-day city. You will never see one of these in real life, and I can guarantee it. So as we're walking on this path, we come across two ponds. Now, one is very lit, and the other one is very... I bet half of you didn't even notice it was there. As you can see on this pond, I've put out some leaves along with some dark oak fences with a little lantern on it. I put some sea pickles in the water, seagrass, some flowers decorate the sides, and there's a bunch of fish in there. Because it's supposed to be a nice little environment. You're supposed to get immersed into, wow, it's a real thing. Fish are living there. Meanwhile here, this just looks like a regular old hole. Sometimes mobs is the best thing that you can actually add into your Minecraft world. For instance, if I was to put turtles into the ocean, instead of just looking flat up at the ocean, you would be more interested in the turtles. You would find something to look at and have another focal point other than the water. Moving right past that, I'm going to want to talk about understanding what biome you're in. Now, I made a crucial mistake while building, and that's that I underestimated how big I was going to make these trees. And the two biomes kind of got really mashed together. So, definitely map out the distance between your builds. I really did that over there, but this I kind of messed up on. So the first biome that I would like to talk about is the plains biome. Now, I've never made a plains biome house before, but I think I am actually very, very proud of myself when I did this. I used a replay mod when I was making it, and as you can tell in this video, I paused it during this time when I was making the staircase, and I am so regretful of that. I didn't notice that I had it paused, and then I unpaused it. But I was actually really struggling with this arch right here, and it took me a couple minutes, probably like 20 or 30, to figure out what looked right and what didn't. If you're an unseasoned builder like me and have really no idea what's going on any of the time, taking these little steps and really thinking out to yourself like, hey, I should do this, or that won't really work. I think that that's one of the essential things to becoming a builder. It's like art. You take an old art piece and you say, oh wow, I suck at hands. Let me try to work on that. I think it also looks really big because most farmhouses have like windmills and such around them. And as you can see on the corners, I've added in signs along with buttons just to give it more dimension. Since I kind of copy and paste all of my kitchen designs, I tried to take a little bit of creative liberty here and adding things in like this campfire, because if you didn't know, you can put food on the campfire, so it's like, oh, here's the oven, and the food's just laying out on top, or I don't know what I was really going for here, but it does add a nice little sense of, ooh. Upstairs is what I'm really proud about. I tried to make it as open as possible and have things like rafters and all of this. Since this is a farming house, kind of like in the plains biome, you tend to have farms. I put some hay bales up here because, you know, you gotta have long days of work. Another thing that I would want to talk about is how these door frames are backwards. And I learned this off of one YouTuber that I really enjoy watching. His name's Abamance. He's very good at building, and I would highly recommend that you watch him if you want some like professional building tips and not just some random saying what they think is good. When the doors are back more like this, it makes the entire wall seem a lot more textured because we have things like the stairs, we have the different blocks such as the wood or the flooring that's inside, along with the doors themselves. Like even when the doors are open, it still gives a lot more detail. Now moving on for the biome that made me regret my life choices. A couple months ago, I made a video, and it was where I made a quote-unquote shore-sided home. And I put it up on Reddit to try to get more people to see it. Reddit user SoulBadGuy0408 commented, nice build, but it lacks the beach house vibe. It doesn't fit the description of being a house on the beach, though. So I had asked for any tips that would give off more of a beach vibe. And they responded with, mainly, it's a matter of researching something before you build it. The house you have is nice, but to make it a traditional beach house, the first step would be starting with a simple Google search. From my perspective, you want to bring colors like blues or whites, maybe pinks or greens to paint the walls. I also think that it would be more elevated, and I assume this because of the waves coming from the ocean. Something along the lines of having stairs going up to the door even could work. One block might make all the difference. Lastly is surroundings. You could maybe have a custom palm tree to give that beach atmosphere. And I am so thankful for you. Thank you. You get that, like, the constructive criticism that I need in my life. So for this particular build, I did everything that they recommended. I made custom trees, custom terrain. You cannot see any bit of this open, super flat world anywhere at all. It took me 7 hours to make this little bit. I'm fine with that. One of the things about building that I found is don't be lazy. Don't compromise your build because you're too lazy. I used dead coral to try to make like little snowy flowers everywhere and added little dip-ins to the road because no road is flat. Here is what I did with my lighting. Since it's more of a snowier area, you'll need something like stone. And since this is kind of like off the beaten path here, like where are we in the middle of the forest here, I decided to use a combination of mossy stone brick and those cobblestone walls. But without further ado, I'm just going to simply let you guys kind of immerse yourself, and I'm going to be silent as we walk up to this next build. And here we are. Now, I've already listened to SoulBadGuy's constructive criticism by creating my own terrain, getting a little bit of an atmosphere going on, like it's snowy. I don't know where we are, in the middle of nowhere. But now, for the piece de resistance, I actually got a reference. I googled up an image, and I figured out what would fit the vibe. Here's the Google image that I had originally thought, like, hey, I could make something like this. So, let us enter this lovely, lovely house. And we already get the vibe that it's a little colder, a little chillier. There's tinted windows, which I never really used, but they look so nice. Even some rafters up here. I really wanted to keep with the idea that it gets super cold in this forest. So from this little area, down below is the fireplace. So I put in these iron bars here as kind of a vent that will bring in the heat. Because remember, we don't have working electricity in Minecraft. Not yet. Right down this hill, there is a nice walkway. This was kind of... My goal for this was kind of like a winter house. Like you'd see in like horror movies or such. To like a vacation and get away and then die. So over here is like if you need firewood. I've always done this with wood where it's like, oh, you put some type of slab and then you put rails over it because it kind of looks like latching or like something that would hold your build in place. But if you were to continue on this path, you'd come to this nice, lovely little campfire site. On to our final build. This, I decided to take the liberty to make a desert type build, which I had never done before. Not a good one anyways. So I was really aiming to make this one a memorable one because I had never really made anything that looked super good in the desert biome before. Now for this build, I also looked up a reference, but this time I looked up a Minecraft reference to kind of get the whole Minecraft villager house. And I think that this turned out very lovely. I also only got this idea of keeping llamas in here because a wandering trader spawned, so you never know, guys. NPCs could change your life. I actually followed Soul Bad Guy's request by adding in some different colors of terracotta because I feel like yellow, and I guess this is kind of like a faint red, is really, really nice, and it kind of reminds me of the desert biome. We have this nice little staircase walking up, and as you can see here, I didn't want to put any doors here or any windows. I don't know, me not putting in windows was sort of just like a personal thing. I was just like, I'll do this. And I think it came out really well. I especially like this doorway. It's very nice. And here is where I got lazy. As you can probably tell, this is definitely not as gorgeous as the giant trees over there. This biome, I did get very lazy because this was the very last thing that I built, and this entire world building took me about 13 to 14 hours, so I was getting a little bit tired, so I just rounded it off with this. But I'm telling you guys, don't be lazy. It really affects how good your build is, especially this one. This one was probably the nicest one of them all, and to look out and see the total opposite biome is kind of like, ugh. I'm also going to be showing you all the builds at night because frankly, I think that builds just look a lot better in the dark and having that natural lighting we talked about earlier to display. Now this is a little bit more illuminated than the other house, and this is because it's in a forest, you know. If you have to step out for the night, you know, you're going to want to find your way back, so it's kind of like a beacon point. Now this build, I am very proud of how it's lit up since I didn't add any Now I'm actually proud of this build being lit so well. Granted, I don't really know that much, but I think that it does a very good job of lighting up everywhere since it doesn't have any glass and there are no doors. You can really play with like how dynamic your lights are. Like I have lights up at the very top, so I'm not going to really need any down here because the light pours down. And then by the time you come to where it will be dark, another lantern is placed. So I hope that you guys learned a couple things while watching this video. I'm very sorry if it was very chaotic and nobody understood what I was saying. I really hope it came out good. I'm just gonna do a quick little recap here about what I think I was trying to say. Make sure that you have a bunch of block variety in your builds. As you can see on my left-hand side, there's a lot more variety than there is on the right. And that makes this build a lot better and more interesting to look at because it has depth to it. Not everything needs to be 100% mapped out totally and forcing whoever's walking in that path to go a specific direction, such as the walkways that we discussed at the very beginning of this video. Lighting is super important for your build, and you should definitely make sure that you are using the right type of lighting. If you're making a mine shaft, you could use lanterns, you could use torches, but probably not glowstone. That wouldn't really fit. Custom terrain is super important. After spending like 6 or 7 hours building an entire like forest area around a build, I can without a doubt say that just take the extra time, do it, or even just world edit in someone else's build of trees or just any type of biome because it is so necessary to how good your build turns out. Thank you so much, Soul Bad Guy 0408 on Reddit for telling me to use references. I don't know why that never crossed my mind. I love making artwork and I use references there. This is no exception. This is no difference at all. And last but not least, don't be lazy. It is just don't do it. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it a little bit entertaining and hopefully you all found this video entertaining as well as informative. I don't really make videos like this, but I kind of like making videos like this. Remember that this map can be downloaded off of Planet Minecraft. The link will be on screen and in the description below, so make sure that if you're interested in using any portion of this map, just give credit. I'm always open to constructive criticism, so if you have anything to tell me in the comment section below, feel free, let loose. Just don't hurt my feelings, please. I will cry. And as always, remember, join the village today. It's only a click away.